On the 24th of June, hundreds of people, most of them refugees from Sudan, tried to cross the border between Morocco and the Spanish exclave of Melilla. What followed was the deadliest attempt to cross a land border into Europe in recent memory. At least 23 people died and 77 are unaccounted for. Shocking videos later emerged showing extreme police brutality. An organization close to the Moroccan government claims that the deaths were caused by a stampede, and Spanish officials say no human rights abuses were committed in Spain.
Vuelvo a decir que las fuerzas y cuerpos de seguridad del Estado actuaron con toda la legalidad, proporcionalidad y necesidad, y no hubo ningún muerto en territorio español.
5 months after the events, serious questions remain. How did the tragedy unfold? On whose territory did people die? And have Morocco and Spain told the truth? To answer these, we analyzed all available video evidence, spoke to more than 40 witnesses, including police officers, and matched this material to the detailed model of the border post where the tragedy took place. Melilla, an outpost of Spain on the continent of Africa, is enclosed in 4 barbed wire fences and a deep trench. For desperate people, Melilla offers a chance of asylum in Europe, and Spain relies on Morocco to police the fence. Individuals are easily intercepted, so people gather in groups near the border before attempting to cross. Police try to disperse these groups, who often seek cover on high ground. In the week leading up to June 24th, the police attacks were unusually intense.
They came every morning around 7 or 8 a.m. to force us out of the forest. We were seriously injured.
Asylum seekers say the Moroccan forces came at them for 4 days in a row.
And then they found our food. We have a small rice and small water. They take all these things. And then they start to talk with microphones. They say, you have 24 hours, you have to go past the wall, or you have to back in the city.
On the morning of the tragedy, hundreds of people walked down the mountain to the border.
Usually, the government soldiers would leave space for people to go back to mountains if they failed to cross, but this time it did not happen. When we reached the Barrio Chino border post, we found many soldiers who had not interrupted nor blocked us before we reached the fence.
The Moroccan security forces made no move to prevent the young men from walking down the mountain. Police vans were already deployed in force here as the group was making its way to the border. But they only intervened when the group arrived here, next to the fence, and attacked them from behind. Rather than climb the border fence as happened during previous crossings, the group headed to a border post that had been shut down for over 2 years, Barrio Chino. Many of them scaled the surrounding wall. Meanwhile, the police surrounded the border post, closing off all exits. The refugees were now trapped. We gained rare access to the inside of Barrio Chino. An officer from Spain's Guardia Civil walked us through the areas under their direct control.
¿Dónde? Entonces la guardia está aquí, esta puerta.
Sí.
Y después los barcos.
The zone in blue is controlled by Spain, the area in black by Morocco. This red gate is the de facto border between the two countries. We asked an official at Spain's Interior Ministry to place the border on the model. He sent us this sketch. After several hundred people climbed into this enclosed space on the Moroccan side of Barrio Chino border post, some of them started using tools to force the gate. This moment was captured by a Spanish helicopter, and the footage was later leaked to local journalists. The Moroccan police fired at least 20 canisters of tear gas in less than 8 minutes. It's against international law to excessively fire tear gas into a closed-off area because of the risk of causing panic and a stampede.
We entered the place that was 500 square meters big. They bombed a lot of tear gas and threw stones, and we had to remain there. We couldn't get out. We were surrounded, and people got wounded. It was like a war, with smoke and people throwing stones.
The moment the asylum seekers managed to break the door coincides with the moment the Moroccan police moved in. Hundreds of people rushed towards the door.
The gate was broken by force. Then the crowd pushed some people to the ground. And this is where people died. Just imagine the conditions. We were breathing tear gas and lacking oxygen.
We asked Samir to show us where people were crushed.
Hanin was among those people in the front towards the gate. The crowd pushed him and he fell down. Hanin, who was already wounded on his head, fell down while people were stepping on top of him. Within half an hour, he passed away on the Spanish side of the station. He died on the Spanish side.
Spain's authorities insist no deaths happened on their territory, and the leaked helicopter footage only shows the first seconds of the crowd surge. The crucial minutes that follow were not shared with the public. But we were able to see what happened next. A high-ranking Guardia Civil officer describes what the footage shows.
Pero en el momento que se parte la puerta, todos salen corriendo hacia la puerta. Y ahora va a hacer un zoom.
The helicopter camera zooms in and films as people are crushed inside Spanish territory. The officer drew this sketch for us.
Esto separa Marruecos de España y aquí hay gente que está atrapada. Es probable que aquí hubiera algún muerto.
Es probable, sí, no lo descartamos. O sea, es probable que haya alguno aquí. Es más probable que haya casi plomo ahí, pero aquí puede haber alguno y puede haber alguno que esté en mitad del cuerpo para un lado. Claro, cuando un país lo separa una línea, una persona ocupa más que una línea.
This leaked Spanish drone footage, filmed about 15 minutes after the stampede began, shows how those who made it through to the other side were contained in Spain. We zoomed into the area behind the border gate, where people were still crushed, and Moroccan officers are seen striking people with batons. Journalists in Melilla filmed the same moment. Seen here for the first time, this footage captures the reaction of the Guardia Civil. Here too, people were beaten.
The Spanish police surrounded us and kept spraying. I couldn't see anything. My eyes were tearing, my nose was running, I was losing consciousness. They tied our hands, then opened the gate and took us one by one to the Moroccan side.
Moroccan officers entered Spain through this corridor and started forcing people back into Morocco. This is what's known as a pushback, summary deportations where people are denied the right to apply for asylum. This is illegal if a person faces the risk of being mistreated on the other side of the border. 470 people were pushed back into Morocco on June 24th. The Spanish officers say they were focused on cordoning off people outside and did not take part in any of the policing inside the border post, be it during the crush or in its aftermath. The Moroccans took control and cleared both the Spanish and the Moroccan side of Barrio Chino. The videos showing this are especially shocking and challenge much of Spain's account of what happened that day. We spoke to several of the people visible in this clip. This man, Ibrahim, told us how his friend Anwar was killed.
You may have seen Anwar in a video. He was killed just before my eyes. There was a heavy gas bombing that suffocated many people. Then a Moroccan soldier knocked him on the back of his head, and even though he couldn't breathe, another soldier was jumping on his chest with his boots. When they realized he was dead, they gathered all the garbage and covered him.
This is Abdul Aziz Yacoub, known as Anwar, Ibrahim's friend. When his body was collected by Moroccan forces, Anwar was lying by the border door on the Spanish side. Others appear unconscious or dead, also in Spain. Moroccan forces are seen dragging a body back into their territory. People and bodies were taken to this area just outside the border post on the Moroccan side. Here they were left for hours with their hands tied behind their backs, some of them visibly wounded. Lying on the ground, defenseless, many were beaten.
They handed us over to the Moroccans, who started beating everyone until many were unconscious. Then they threw us on the open space before the gate for about 4 hours on the ground and under direct sunlight. When I was brought back, I found many dead people on the ground. I was thrown on 2 dead bodies. They dragged me and threw me on these 2 bodies after they harshly beat me.
We see very, very, very bad things. Some people, they need help at that time. They need ambulance, but they didn't care about ambulance. They didn't care about us. They said, you are animal, you have to die.
We verified the timings of these videos and can confirm that asylum seekers were left at least 3 hours in the sun. In Morocco, no medical staff was seen helping people on site. Ambulances were present throughout the day, but they were reportedly used to evacuate bodies. In Spain, one ambulance parked 100 meters from the border. Officials said they couldn't get closer for safety reasons. It's impossible to determine how people died without an independent autopsy, but we do know that a large amount of tear gas was used in a closed-off area, that people were repeatedly beaten, and that after the deadly crush, asylum seekers were left for hours with no medical assistance. While Spanish authorities insist security forces acted legally and say only Moroccan leaders should have to answer to allegations of human rights abuses, not only were people crushed on Spanish territory, but their forces also pushed nearly 500 people back into danger. And the leaked helicopter and drone footage shows how closely Spanish forces were watching Moroccan operations. They knew what was happening on the other side.
I will make both the Moroccans and the Spanish responsible for the crime, because the immigrants were assaulted by both of them. There were some people who were beaten in the Spanish territory and lost their life after they were brought back to the Moroccan side.
Hundreds of survivors were herded by Moroccan forces onto at least 8 buses. They were transported to remote areas of Morocco. At least one person reportedly died during a bus journey. While the official death toll from Morocco stands at 23, the families of 77 people who took part in the attempted crossing are still searching for loved ones.